YouTube. All right. As many of you know, if you were following this drama, my personal drama here, with regards to retirement, moving to Thailand, and everything else, I was and am semi-retired officially, but still working a little bit to close things out. But the whole COVID situation, as well as political unrest with the whole world, is kind of putting a hamper on my plans to hop on an airplane and be in Thailand, at least anytime soon. Because I'm looking at what's happening here in the United States as well as what's happening overseas, and it's looking like my plan's gonna have to be extended, which could be good, which could be bad, but good. I think more good than bad, because it'll give me a chance to try to save up some money. Hey George, good to see you on here. Well, bang, nice to see you. I just got out of a meeting with my supervisor, who was asking me what my plans are, because I told him. But basically, I don't know if you guys are aware, the United States has been like really revving up its space program. So we've been launching lots of rockets. I think one just went up last night. I don't think I know, I was watching it. But anyhow, things are picking up as far as with space. And that means more work. And they wanted to get with me to see what my plans were, if I was happy, if I was going to stay, if I was going to go. Should I stay or should I go? I think that's a song, isn't it? So, I had a meeting with him today, and basically he just wanted to know what my plans were so they could make plans, because they like having me there. I pretty much, they leave me alone. I do what I'm supposed to do, so everything's smooth. Things are the way they're supposed to be, at least on my end. So they're happy with me. I'm happy being there because the job is like so easy. It's like you're cleaning. Just imagine a job where you clean. And not only you clean, they leave you alone and they let you do what you need to do. And then, you're done for the day. You don't have to worry about it. You either cleaned something or you didn't. I mean, it's a black and white job. It's not like, oh man, did I do something wrong? Did I mess something up? Did I do something bad? Nah, it's not like that. It's like you either cleaned or you didn't. So it's one of the, I was telling the boss, the supervisor, I was like, this is like one of the best jobs I've ever had. Not only is the job stress-free, I mean, it's like either I did it or I didn't do it. They also leave me alone, and I love working with the people. That's another big thing about enjoying your job. The people I work with are like extremely unique. If you think of the entire human population and all the people that are capable of putting rockets up on the moon, or putting rockets up to put man on the moon again, and planning Mars missions and trying to put people up on Mars, I'm working with these people. That's a very, very tiny percentage of the humans in the world who can do that. So for me to be there, even though I'm pretty much just cleaning, but he was saying, well, that's still important because, it keeps everything running smoothly. I make sure everything runs smoothly on that end so that those people, the engineers, the scientists, and all those other people, the people who actually do the launching stuff or the building stuff or whatever, they don't have to worry about a stopped toilet or something like that. It's important. So, but I told him, I was like, yeah, I love this job. This is like one of the best jobs I've ever had. In teaching, I love teaching too. But this job is less stressful than teaching, like a gazillion times less. In teaching, you're like, man, I hope I don't mess this kid up for the rest of their life. Here, I'm like, man, it was either done or it wasn't, and if it wasn't done, I'll hear about it. But so far, I haven't really heard about it. He says, they keep hearing good comments about me, from all the people using it, the facilities and stuff. So I've had pretty good feedback, which is good, but like I said, it's one of the, I think being like a janitor or a custodian is like one of the most underrated jobs in the world. It's like one of the best jobs in the world. I guess it depends on where you work, because even when I was in the post office, my then fiance, who had 14 years in the postal service, was trying to become a janitor. She said that I should apply to be a janitor too, because like anyone, and Timothy could vouch for this. Anyone who's like a carrier, especially if you're not a routed carrier, you're not like a tenured carrier, you're a CCA, what they call a city carrier assistant now. They float you around from route to route. But if you're a carrier, it sucks. You get yelled at a lot, and they treat you kind of poorly. I don't know if people know that, but the post office it's like a military wannabe facility. A lot of the people there are ex-military, so they have the discipline of military, but it's being run by civilians who anyone who was in the post office knows how crazy it is, like how messed up it is. They're like pseudo-military. They want to act like they're military, but then they don't want to take the responsibility like they would if they were military. We're talking about management and stuff. But that the job of the custodian there, though, the janitor, they just clean like the bathrooms, the floor, the back room, the floors. They also do some runs, like sometimes express packages and stuff have to be run, so they have to deal with that. So that job she told me that was one of the least stressful jobs. And here's the thing, I think you get paid like about the same. You get paid just a little bit less, like only tiny little bit less than a carrier. But the stress level is just like, what time you're going into work and what time you're going home. Whereas a mail carrier, you don't. They sometimes have you work overtime, and then sometimes when you're overtime, they start screaming at you. But you're like, hey, the mail's got to go out when it's got to go out. So you do what you got to do. But the job that I'm at right now, even the time is not like fixed. They adjusted the hours so that I wouldn't see all the people. So I try to go there when nobody's there. So really, really early. And I leave early. I just have to keep it. They want to keep me part-time. That's the key, is part-time. But that also comes up to the negotiation that occurred today, because what happened was, it's not really a negotiation, more like a favor request. He basically asked me what my plans were. He said things will probably get busy. They want to know if I'm going to be around, because that would determine whether or not they try to give me a new contract. And I was like, well, because of the situation with the world right now, my own plans for being in Thailand in a couple months is I don't think going to happen, because I'm looking at the political unrest right now in Thailand. It's going to take a while to straighten that all out. And of course, the whole COVID situation, with the world and Thailand not letting people in. Thailand is like under lockdown still. So, they are not letting people in. It's complicated. And a lot of people want to get into Thailand right now, but cannot get in. So the other issue is with the United States. The United States COVID is still going rampant until it gets under control. That's an ongoing issue. So there's still a lot of uncertainty in the world, and I can't even go if I want to go. So I know that being in this situation, I'm kind of stuck. So my plan right now is, if they decide to extend and have me stay and keep working with the space agency, I'll stay for however long. Because he said, well, before we finished, I did ask him. I said to him, look, can you guys on the new contract give me dental? Because I'm trying to fix this. And it's expensive. Anyone who's ever had to pay for dental work, you know what I'm talking about. It's crazy that dental is so expensive in this country. But basically, I told him, I said, look, if they could do that, that would be awesome. But then he's like, well, the problem with the dental is this. You can't just arbitrarily pick what health package and stuff you give to somebody. It goes with the job, whether it's full-time or part-time. And they right now have me at part-time. So now he did say my hours were more than likely going to be increasing if if I come back for next year, because they're expecting to get busy, because they're trying to get people back up on the moon. I don't know if you guys realize that America is trying to build a moon base. And then from the moon base, we're going to be going on to Mars. We're going to build a Martian base. We're really going to have Martians. Those of us who are alive right now, if we manage to stay alive through COVID and everything else, we might actually see Martians, humans on Mars. There'll be Martians. So, for me, it's very exciting to actually be a part of the group working on this. So, I'm like excited. I'm like, hey, so, maybe I don't get to Thailand this year, but maybe next year or the year after. But in the meantime, I get to continue helping with the space program. So, for me, it's just when I go into work every day, I don't know if you guys know how excited I am because I'm actually surrounded by people who put rockets up. And that for me is like, I can't believe I grew up in a little village in Thailand and I got to do all the stuff I got to do in this life. I've worked with presidents. I've worked with the president of the United States. And now I'm working with spaceships, Elon Musk, all these other people that you read about in the news. I have something to do with it. And so for me, it's kind of an amazing situation to be in because I'm like, I don't know how, you don't know what your life is. You really don't have a clue. You really don't have a clue. I mean, you can kind of, to an extent, control what happens to you in your life. But, well, little did I know that from my little village in Thailand, I would actually be in the United States, educated here, serving in the United States military as a Thai national, which is messed up, but not really. I mean, we're allies. And dealing with the president, and that's just weird. I mean, it's just like unbelievable. So I feel really blessed. I did put it into his ear, and he said he's going to talk to the human resources lady to try to see what they can do. But he said that it's more than likely they would have to end up offering me full time, which, a lot of I hate working. So, but I don't mind, I mean, it's like, it'll just be more hours because my hope would be, well, if I get full time, that's just an opportunity to save more money because the idea would be when I go to Thailand, I could end up retiring and having that money to buy land and all that stuff. So all the stuff that people try to save for, working for years and years and years, I could possibly do in 1 or 2 years, just because of retiring in Thailand instead of the United States. If I can get enough money there, I can go there to retire and possibly buy some land and a house, by saving for 1 or 2 years instead of working 40 years and then eventually having your house taken away because you can't afford the taxes or whatever. I don't know. So that remains to be seen. It'll be coming up in the next couple months, but I do know for now it looks like my retirement is sort of semi over. So it's like a semi-retired because that means semi-retired from the state of Florida. So I'm starting to get some money from retirement, which means my financial situation isn't as dire, although I was negative for a while. So I got to rebuild up my savings, but I've also got a real plan to try to get enough money so that when I go to Thailand, might be able to buy some property and stuff and actually settle down and then can retire and then travel, which I know some of the channel critics and stuff don't think I can do it, but it just shows you can do it. It just, you have to be flexible in your plans and also look at where you're going to get the maximum benefit from your money. If you know that you're going to struggle in America right now with your retirement and stuff, then maybe you should look at other options. You don't have to retire in America. Although retiring overseas has its own set of complications and stuff. But still, if you go to a place that's stable where the American dollar is still pretty strong, your money expands. Like if I go to Thailand, I'm worth 30 times more. 30 times more. Okay? Although things would be more expensive by Thai money than American money, but still, I'd be worth at least 3 to 5 times more than I am here. And that means even if I have, like, just say $25,000 saved up for retirement, That's like almost having one or $200,000, maybe even I mean, even $1 million saved up for retirement by moving to a place like Thailand, assuming the United States dollar continues to be strong versus the Thai baht. Because if the Thai baht goes, up in value, then I'm screwed. So that's the one caution you have to make. But if you buy the land there and you live there, then the money going up and down, it doesn't affect you because you have tangible property. So, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at, wow, I could be in a better position. So because I kind of put it on the table, I kind of asked them if they would try to get me dental so I can get my teeth done. And by the way, some viewers don't know this, but I've actually had viewers offer to pay for my dental. I don't know if you know that. A lot of viewers have written me and contacted me directly to say they'd be willing to pay for the dental work. And some of you are like, why didn't you take it? I didn't take it because, one, I wanted to try to get it through work or something because it's a lot of money for somebody to just be plopping out of their pocket, like completely out of pocket. I'd rather have a job that had dental and stuff covered. So I was hoping this job would have given me dental, but because they put me at part-time, I didn't have that. But now, because I kind of put it on the table, and they think that they're going to have increased hours, not right away, but increased hours later. So they might, I guess in a way it's kind of planning it in their head that maybe they want to list me as full-time and just minimum full-time. Because I think if you hit 30 hours a week, 30 to 35 hours a week, every week, I think you can be considered full-time. Whereas like right now, I typically do 20 to 25 hours per week, which is part-time. You can go up to 30 hours per week and still be part-time as long as it's not all the time. That's what Walmart did. Walmart had me working 40 hours a week, but was still listing me as part-time, so they didn't have to pay the benefits. The place where I'm at right now, I typically work 20 to 30 hours per week, roughly 25 hours per week. I can hit 30, but if I start going over 30 for too much, it becomes a problem because I'm listed at part-time. But for the next contract, because I kind of planted it in their head that I would like dental. If they decide that they want to honor that, then maybe they'll list me as full-time. Then I get the full-time package, and that would allow me to get my teeth fixed. And I might actually have some nice stuff done, thinking if it's covered and depending on the total cost and stuff, instead of just getting, what do they call those things, where a bridge? Instead of just getting a bridge, I might end up getting an implant, implant the whole area here. Although I probably won't fix the back. The molars, I might just let them stay messed up. They don't get seen. But up front, that would help. So that's what we're looking at. Just wanted to see your comments here. Mobang says, all love there in California. No riots or demonstration. Udoji says he would love to be a janitor at a rocket ship facility. That for me, I'm like, this is so unique. I wonder how many other janitors there are at rocket facilities, spaceports, space agencies, or being a janitor at the CIA or at the White House or something. Think about it. The White House has a janitor. It's like, I think in some places it might not be as good because, you can look at the messy stuff they like. I think being a janitor at Walmart would be horrendous. So just go to the bathroom and take a look, and somebody's got to clean that. Being a janitor at Walmart, I think, would be one of the not so good positions. But being a janitor at like a federal building somewhere, probably not too bad. If you were in Washington, imagine being a janitor for Congress, or something like that. But for me, I'm like, this is the best janitor job because I get to deal with really smart people. I get to hang out with them a little bit. Sometimes, before COVID, they used to have like Thanksgiving dinner and lunches and stuff. And there'd be a big table and all the space people would be sitting there. So it's interesting to hear them all talk because like you get to hear like behind the scenes, behind the story, like things at SpaceX, the, what is it? The new Space Force, everything. It's like it's like you get to know. I guess you get to know behind the scenes story stuff that the public doesn't know. So it's kind of interesting. The best part of it for me is like I watch how hard those engineers work. Sometimes they're there all night and stuff. Um, it's hard because their job is actually to make sure the rocket goes up smoothly and everything goes smoothly. My job is a heck of a lot easier. I'm like, I know they get paid a lot more than I do, you know, but they have to deal with all that stress. Me, I'm like, heck, I go home on time. I don't stress too much. Um, Everybody appreciates my work. And, you know, where I work, people come up and they thank me, and you know, they say they really appreciate the work that I do. It's because it makes it nicer for them. You know, it's nice to be able to go to the bathroom and it's always clean. You don't feel like you're gonna get contaminated, you're gonna get dirty or anything. You trust the cleanliness of the place. So for them, it makes, for me, I do it and I try to keep it super clean because I'm like, their job is important. You know, I don't want them to have to worry about toilet paper and clogged toilets and anything like that. I want them to concentrate on what they need to concentrate on, which is making sure those rockets go up. Let's see here, just scrolling through here. Maggie says, I work with engineers. They prefer to solve problems than make them. Yeah, that's the other thing. I was talking to the boss, you know, the supervisor while we were negotiating, not really negotiating, just trying to see if I want to stay. I was telling him, look, I love the people I work with because these people here, one, they don't even know how special they are. What's amazing about all these engineers and scientists and all the people who work on the rockets and stuff, to them, it's like they wake up and they go to work. They're like, I just got to get to work. It's gonna be a long day or whatever. That they just see it as a job. You know, for them, it's like a normal job. But when you think about the human population and stuff, they're in that tiny, less than 1% of the humans who have the capability of making something that flies from this earth to the moon or to Mars, or like Voyager right now. You know, Voyager is still sending, Voyager 2, I think, is still sending information back. These are, and then like Solar Orbiter to go explore the sun. You know, I got to meet and work with those people from Europe, okay? The European scientists and stuff. So for me, I'm like, I am so blessed to get to hang out with these people. And what's really cool is I watch how cool they are when there's a problem. And that's what I really love about these people. Whenever there's a situation or a crisis that can go really bad, really, because it happens really fast when you're dealing with rockets, they fix it. They will look at the situation and then run different scenarios and try to come up with a fix. And they got to do it really fast, and they don't panic. And you never see them panic. When you think about doing something as hard as launching rockets and sending it far away into outer space, that's complicated stuff. Or when something breaks, like on the spaceship they just sent up there, one of the components didn't work right. You have to work around it. So they look at the situation, they try to work around it. And I feel honored that I'm around these people because, you know, it's kind of similar in some ways, like kind of how I fix stuff. You know, I look at it, or Timothy, when you watch him repair stuff, you got to look at what you have and what your resources are and how much you can put in. You know, that determines what routes you take. Now, me, I tend to go cheap. I just go good enough. And that may have to do with the Thai philosophy. A lot of people don't understand Thai philosophy, but Thai people believe that life should be happy. You know, happiness in life is one of the most important things, even more so than attaining money or power. So to be content with your life is more important than to be rich, which is kind of a Thai philosophy. So you see some Westerners look at Thai people and think they're lazy because they don't seem to be going above and beyond. And the reason is they just go good enough. You know, it just has to be good enough. And you have to be happy with the work that you've done, as long as you did your best. And when I say your best, and I think this is the difference between Western and most Asian. I say most because the Japanese are a different category. And I feel kind of sad for the Japanese in some ways. But most Asians do the best they can with what they have. Especially Thai people will get to a point where they say this is good enough. But Americans, expect, well, I don't know about all Europeans and stuff, but I know Americans that I encounter, they expect you to do more than 100%. They say you need to put in 115, 110%. I'm like, dude, 100% means you're maxed out. If you're going 110%, you're doing more than you can do. That's going to burn you out. Now, as an American working here in America, in the military or even in the school system, I had to put out more than 110%. But at a certain point, I went and I talked to my boss and I said, hey, we can't keep going at over 100% because when you're over 100%, you're going beyond what the system is capable of handling, and it's going to explode. It's gonna fail. It's not designed to go 100%. 100% means maxed out. You're going beyond maxed. Whereas the Thai people, when I tell you it's good enough, some people don't think that I'm working at below 100%. No, good enough means you do 100%. You do what you're supposed to do, and it needs to function the way it's supposed to function. It just doesn't have to function beyond that. So, and it happened with my negotiations with him, with my boss today, because he said, well, they want to make sure that if they call me back, for next year, if they renew the contract and stuff, that I'm going to be there for the whole ride because it's going to be busy. We're going to be really, really busy. We're trying to put man back on the moon. We're trying to get man back on Mars. Well, not back on Mars, but on Mars for the first time, which means a lot of hours and stuff, and somebody who's going to be there the whole time. They're not going to want someone there and then quit next month. And I told them, the truth, which is, if I make a commitment to stay, I will stay. I will change my own plans because I had told them that before. Like, I'm committed right now till January. Then I'm free to leave. I mean, you could always quit. Anyway, we're both laughing about that. This is America. You can quit. But I'm not willing to lie. I've never lied in my life, which is why I didn't go with the Thunderbirds. I didn't become part of the Thunderbirds because I told them I didn't want to travel, and they were shocked that I would say that. And same with my career in the military. I told them the truth, because ultimately you have to make a stand for what you believe, and regardless of whether or not it ends up punishing you for your career or whatever. Because if you bend for something that you don't believe in, you compromise your belief. Then what are you and what do you believe? Because it means nothing anymore. And, I've always been like that with my life. So I had told them I would stay through the January. So my plans to leave here were, finish up. If they don't renew it, and if I didn't decide not to renew it, then I would try to be out of here by like February, March, April in Thailand. But looking at the timeline and looking at the Thai government, Thai situation and the travel ban and everything else going on, I'm like, it ain't going to get cleared. It could potentially be another year. So I know there's a lot of angry expats trying to get. I don't know if you guys saw my link. I think I put a link up on the other video that showed an expat getting back into Thailand. It was difficult. And this guy was married. I think he'd been living in Thailand for 10 years. And he was married and had legally married in Thailand, has a Thai wife, has Thai children. And he went back to England to deal with a situation in February. And then everything locked down. And he couldn't get back. He got back because of GoFundMe, because he had a little following on YouTube. But I put a link on the other video, I think that I ran about 2 days ago and stuff. One of my videos there. So there's a pinned link there if you want to see that. But that is the process of getting back into Thailand right now. It cost them, I think, roughly about $7,000 to $10,000 to get back in right now with COVID and all the requirements you have to do. And it has to be done in a certain sequence in time. So it's hard to get back to Thailand right now. So right now I'm looking at, I can't afford it. And also I wouldn't want to go and be locked up in a hotel for 2 weeks, but then also coming into a situation where things are unstable because you don't know what's going to happen in the next month or two. So I'll wait. And if work, is letting me stay and looking at extending my hours, that works even better because then I can make even more money and I can save money, assuming that, depending on what I do with the RV and what happens next. So I will be trying to determine if the RV is going to, the viewer still wants the RV. If they do, I will sell it to them, and then I will have to figure out another living arrangement. trying to figure one where I might be able to live in a vehicle, or I might end up having to rent a place or something. But if I keep the RV, I'm gonna try to find a way to store it instead of living in it, because I'm trying to save money, basically super save, which is what some people are doing by living in a van. Because if you know, your biggest cost in America for living is rent. If you can reduce your rent or get rid of your rent, you can save a lot of money. A lot. Like in 1 year, let's suppose the average rental is $1,000, you know, to rent and live in an apartment or whatever. $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year. If you're able to reduce that or get rid of it to the point where you're paying, like, let's say $200 a month to park and live in your vehicle instead of $1,000, you could save $10,000 in 1 year. That's $10,000 saved, even if you don't invest it. And if you invest it and you get some return on your investment, your 10,000 becomes worth more than 10,000. And then if you go to a place like Thailand or Vietnam or Philippines, or I would have said Panama, but my understanding is Panama is super expensive now. But if you go to another country where there's a lot of expats living, you can go to a kind of an expat community, so it's not like totally foreign. And most of those places aren't like bad. They're like tropical paradises, okay? But you could live there, you know, because your money multiplies. Let's say you had $100,000 saved. That could be the equivalent of more than 2 or 3 million, you know, depending on what country you go to. Assuming the United States economy doesn't fail. Yeah, Timothy says, Angry wants to know if the wrench means he's a moderator. It means if somebody like rude on here, Angry, you can whack them upside the head and you can kick them out. You can silence them, you can block them, and you can remove them. Yeah, you're a moderator. It basically means you're trusted. If you have the moderator symbol, you're more than likely trusted, at least, you know, preliminary, but by me, so because I'm the one that marked you as a moderator. And it means that you're, you know, if you want to get into the Starfish network, all you have to do is ask one of the other wrench people that are in already, and, you know, friend them on Facebook. They'll get you into the network, and that's important because we want to make sure that the people we let in are people we trust. Okay, because all it takes is one bad one, and then it's like COVID. All it takes is one infection, and then we got a problem. So we're being very careful who we let in. But it's not like it has a super stringent requirement. It just means that you're not a troll or an asshole or somebody who's going to try to hurt like the group. And the group kind of runs itself, and will be, you know, making little cliques, if you want to call it that. But the whole group, as far as what me and all the other people being on here, this is a collective in the sense that by having a channel that we can try to monetize, the group itself will have money, and it's being generated by the group. And that means that when people need help, the first source of help they should go to is their little clique, you know, like the 3 to 5 people who are your friends that you know. And if you guys can't resolve it at that level, you need more help, raise it to the group. And, you know, the group, now you have literally thousands of people who could help you. But the idea is to keep it so that you don't ask the thousands of people for help right away. Because if you did that, you're going to constantly get help from the whole group constantly needs help, which is not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it so that people have help if they need it. And for me, on a personal basis, for paying it forward, I'm trying to give you what I had on living in a van. On living in a van, it wasn't all of the 10,000 or 6,000 people at the time, or 3,000 people helping me. It was literally a handful. There was like 4 or 5 people who were there. Like even right now, the people who say, hey, Denoy, you know, if you want, I'll cover your teeth. You know, they'll pay for the teeth to be fixed. And I turned it down. But it's people like that. And that's your clique. And you're like, where are they getting the money? Most of them are getting out of pocket, okay? Most people that helped me, they had no magical money that just magically appeared. They just looked at the situation. They had some money in their pocket, in their savings or whatever, and they said, I'm going to try to help them. That's it. And what did they want in return? Nothing. They were just being kind. So that's what pay it forward is. It's just people trying to be kind to one another. But primarily setting it up for people who might need it, like nomads, people who don't have family, people who might be elderly. And you're like, well, what kind of stuff do they need? Everyone's need is going to vary and be different. For example, if you needed help with your vehicle, like to try to rig it out to live in and stuff, and you contact me and you're in this area and I'm available, I will try to help you build your vehicle out. Okay. I think if you need to buy a vehicle and stuff, that's a little bit more difficult because, right now we don't have the money, but potentially we could once the channel's monetized. I hear that Bob Wells does give out vehicles. He's got some kind of charity thing that gives out vehicles to people who need it. That's not what we do here on this end, but we could end up doing something like that if needed. Really, we would probably refer you to Bob Wells. But if you had a vehicle and you were passing through me or one of the other channel members who knows how to build or something, get in touch and contact and see if they're available. And I can help with what I know. I'm going to guarantee you it's not going to be as fancy, as pretty as those van life channels, but it'll be similar to what I build. What my capabilities are. It's not really high end or anything like that, but it's functional. It's good enough. So, if you're in my area and you were needing help, yeah, I'd be up to helping you, assuming I'm available. But it's the same with, I think Timothy has even gone out to help a couple people. We don't cover it. It's not like we're doing this for promotion or to say, hey, look at us. We're nice people. We're not doing it for that. We're doing it because people need help. And some of us realize that there's more to life than just you. Okay, and how well you are and how safe you are. There are some people who are actually in more dire need than you, and it doesn't mean that you have to be guilted or feel like you have to help people. It's just a choice. But if you want to help, the channel's here, and some people who do need help, it's here for people to request. The worst that can happen is we can't help you. But if you need help, that's why we're here. Just scrolling through here. Idoji, being a mod shouldn't be intimidating, but basically if you see some rude people on here and they post negative stuff, you can block their messages. I don't know if you have the capability, but I think you could eventually even ban them from the channel, perma-ban, like banhammer. Now, the problem is, like I said, I actually had somebody I had given a blue wrench to that I ended up having to ban, and I feel bad about it, so I might let her back on. But the issue I had was I saw the person hanging out at the trolls, with the trolls and stuff, the people attacking this channel and attacking other channels. And that upset me because I'm like, you're not understanding that you're on Pay It Forward, which is a channel that's a support network, but you're with the group that's attacking everybody and the group that's attacking Pay It Forward. Which, I'm like, what are you doing there? Just scrolling through here. Hey, Prism Wizard, good to see you back on here. Says it takes time to prepare to retire, so glad to see you. Nope, you don't need stress, right? And for me, I'm semi-retired because I am getting some retirement. It's just not a lot, because I'm only getting like 60%, but even that, it had been cut short because of my career, being cut short. But at least I'm getting that. So financially, I'm not in the bind that I was before. And if they end up increasing my hours, I will have to work more, which is fine. The job's easy. I don't mind working only 4 or 5 hours a day because it was allowing me to work on YouTube and some other stuff, some other projects. I'll just be more, less free time. I'll be dealing more with the space type stuff or working at the space agency. But it's guaranteed pay. It's not like when I'm working on YouTube, sometimes I work for days and I don't get paid. Like all these videos that we've been producing here on this channel, they're not monetized yet. So that means all this time and energy that's being put into these videos and try to organize them, categorize them that Timothy and I have been doing and Kira to an extent, we're not getting paid for any of this. This is all free work. And you're like, well, why are you doing it? Because you have to set up this groundwork and get this channel monetized, get the watch hours and all this up so that it can be monetized. Now, my hope is that, even though I'm a small channel and have a small YouTube channel, that I was able to pull enough people from the Living in a Van channel to support this channel to help it grow. Eventually, I don't know if I'm going to be on here. I may or may not. It just depends. But eventually, I'm hoping that this channel will kind of run itself with the moderators and the groups and stuff. And some people have suggested ideas on how people can get help, what kind of help you want to offer. Like one of the future things I can see potentially happening, if the channel generates enough revenue, potentially it could buy land, and then if you have like the board, certain different board, I don't want like one massive. Some people were saying you should set it up as a charity, a 401. I mean, not 401, what a 407, 405. I don't know what it is, but a charity and all that. The problem with that, then you have all this legal stuff you got to deal with, and it slows things down. It gets complicated. I would rather have it be like a bunch of loose friends, real friends who know each other, helping each other, and then the group makes money and can actually give it to different people or different groups, and possibly make big purchases that get voted on by the members of the network. Like, for example, maybe buying land somewhere that we know is zoned where you can park. Maybe even installing running electricity and water, and bathroom, like whatever type of bathrooms. But making different camps throughout the world, not just the United States, the world, so that members of the network, when they're traveling, or even if they need help, like they're not traveling, but they're financially in a bad position, could actually go there and stay. Maybe some of those camps might charge a little bit to camp there overnight, maybe not charge, depending on whether or not someone can pay or not. But basically, the existence of this group brings me back to when I had Camp Freedom out in the compound. Some of you remember when I said, I think I know my purpose. But my purpose, I think, is to try to get all this set up so that people can help each other. And if anyone has followed the Living in a Van channel, when you saw how the people there helped me, they were able to keep me alive. It wasn't like I got all this money and I became rich or whatever. It was just random people who had a couple bucks in their pocket donating because they said, well, you know what, I'm going to skip a burger and give it to Denoy because without this money, he could die from heat stroke. And, the money was used to buy a fan or something. It wasn't like anything big. But with this channel monetized and stuff, it could do some big stuff for the group. Like I said, like get land, maybe pay for solar panels and, things like that for people who can't afford it. And if you can't afford it, then you can afford it. But you could also get help with installation and stuff from the members of the network. Things like that. Basically, it's just people helping people. It's what it says it is. Grism Ward says nursing's too much stress. Same thing, push you on time. A dually car, once I remove the back seats, what do I do? Well, the main thing is probably make sure that you can have a good bed. That you can, use a bed that you can either leave down all the time and use. I would try to fit the bed because that's going to be the main thing you use the vehicle for is sleeping. Scrolling through here. If, Maggie says a friend took that retired from the post office took a pay cut to be a janitor so she could tolerate until retirement. Yeah. Janitors are underrated jobs. I think it's one of the best jobs. It's like it's like black and white. Either you cleaned it or you didn't clean it. And honestly, I've never seen janitors get yelled at. Because everybody knows the job's not exactly an easy job. You have to deal with, it can be kind of hard labor. It's kind of manual. You're lifting water, you're lifting buckets, you're lifting mops. For me, I look at it as I'm getting paid to work out every day. I work out. But I like it, the place where you work can make a difference. But for the most part, most places, I think, they leave the janitor alone. Because the janitor either does their job or they don't do it. You can look at it and see. It's not like there's no checking. I mean, either the toilet is clean or it's not. Either it's flushing or it's not. So I think it's an underrated job. Just scrolling through here. Udoji says he almost applied for post office work when he gets done with the current job, but when I move, I'm going to janitor for schools, hopefully. Schools are pretty good to be a janitor, although there's potential problems there because it has to do with crazy kids. I can tell you that. But potentially a school could be good. Schools are always but schools, I'm going to be honest, Udoji, a lot of school districts, they don't pay shit. They don't pay the teachers enough, and they don't pay the janitors enough. So I would recommend, if you want to do a janitor, here's what I recommend, honestly. If you're looking for a job, or even if you're retired and looking for work and stuff and you want some flexibility, temp work. Sign up with agencies, the temp agencies, okay? They have different type of temp agencies. Some are technical in nature, some are physical, and some are just general work. And depending on your location, okay, like maybe I'll list it again. I had some of you were wondering how I had a job at the Kennedy Space Center. That is actually a third-party company. I forget their name. I have to look all this stuff back up again. But basically, a lot of companies hire out, like even at the national parks, like they run the national parks, you know, the park ranger and the food and all the stuff that gets done there, even the janitor and stuff. Sometimes they're not the government that does it. It's a third party agency. And I need to get the list of that, because some of you might like it if you're like the van life and living in the wilds and stuff. You can get jobs through that agency, and they literally have job openings in like the Grand Canyon, um, in the mountains, you know, various national parks and things like that, where you can go work. And that's your job. Pay will be so-so, not low, not high. It'll be in the medium low, like lower side of medium. So you don't get paid that much, but the job, in theory, for most of it, is not stressful. And the other thing is, but that's a little bit more permanent. You got to be willing to relocate and go to those places. But if you're wanting to stay towards where you are, sign up with a local temp agency. Okay, they have the daily work, daily pay, which are going to be the sucky ones. Daily work, daily pay is for, you absolutely cannot get a job. If you guys remember me in the ditch with the grass cutting thing, see, I feel like I was put into all these jobs and stuff so people could see and get some background insider information. But I had daily work, daily pay, which they take advantage of people who can't get any other type of job. So most of those people are felons or have drug addiction problems or alcohol problems and stuff. But on those daily work, daily pay, which most cities have, most counties and cities, you just show up at the location where they have it every day, and you work that day and you get paid that day. So, but most of the time they will pay you minimum wage or just slightly above minimum wage. So you will not get a lot of money, but if you're willing to work, like you have no money, but you want to work, you can 90% of the time find work on the daily work, daily pay. It's the worst job. It's going to be jobs that are, they're going to have you at manual labor. You're going to be working at construction sites, but because you don't know construction skills, they might have you just lifting and hauling dirt and bricks. I did that too. I don't know if you guys remember me, Builder Bob episode where I had the construction hat and stuff. I was building. I wasn't really building. I was lifting and hauling off bricks and dirt, literally, and rocks. And then, you know, that was kind of a rip-off job, but I did it. And I got to see what it was like, and I got to see the people that had to work those jobs because they didn't have any other options. Then I took another job where we did tree trimming, where we had to cut down the trees and stuff. And I saw the dangers of that. You know, the wood chipper. Okay, that's dangerous. And the job where I had to go into the, you ever wonder about those guys on the highway where they go into the ditch and they cut the waterways and stuff? I had to do that. We had to trim all the lily pads and all the other stuff there. And there were alligators and snakes in there. So that was an interesting job. But those are daily work, daily pay, which I would say you take if you have no other option. But you work that job, but while you work that job, make sure you take the time to sign up at a temp agency that actually will hire you out for jobs like at the amusement parks. A lot of times the amusement park workers, they don't work for that park. They work for a temp agency. And you work at that temp agency, and what happens is they ask what kind of skills you have, and then what I like about the temp agencies like that, they actually let you choose if you want a job or not. So they'll call and they'll say they have an opening, and then you can decide if you want it. You know, that job allowed me to work with the World Series Women's Baseball League. I don't know if you guys remember that. I was involved in the Women's Baseball League on TV and everything. They had me as I got to be, what do they call those? cage boys. What do they call those? The bat boys, the ball boys, or whatever. I got to work with Venezuela and China and Japan, all these countries because they were there for the women's championship baseball. So that was fun. So you get to see and do all that stuff, and it's interesting because it's jobs that people don't really think about, but they're interesting jobs, and it's how I ended up getting the job at the space agency right now. Because what happens is you go work those temp jobs, and those employers are watching you, and if they have an opening, they might actually come up to you and ask you if you want to take it. So then I think they have to pay the temp agency a fee, because temp agency loses you as an employee, because you're working for the temp agency actually. And then you get the job, and typically the position, once you get it, pays more than the temp did. So let's say you went there to work, and we're going to go with Florida wages, which are pretty low. The temp work, usually you're making $10 or $11 an hour. But then when the company hires you, they will often pay you more. Although the one at Kennedy Space Center was messed up. I think it paid, the job paid like $10.50 or $11 an hour. And then when they're going to offer me the real job, it was only $10 an hour. I'm like, wait a second. For being a real permanent worker, you're going to pay less than the temp agency did? Screw that. And you wanted only limited hours. So you got to watch it might be better to work for the temp, because the temp company has certain rules. Like, you have to be given a break after a certain number of hours. And they can't make you work beyond the scheduled time unless it gets cleared. That kind of stuff. It protects you. Whereas if you work for a company that may not be ethical, they could do all sorts of weird stuff to you. So some people don't ever get a permanent job. They just stay with a temp agency job because it's not a bad job. And the temp agency job has its own insurance and all that other stuff if you stay and work full time pretty much. And depending on your area, you could end up working 40 hours a week or more doing temp work. And the cool thing about the temp job, you don't have to work when you don't feel like it. I mean, if you're working a temp position, you should be there working every day and stuff. But once that gig is done, you don't have to go back to work until a new gig shows up. And if you have some money saved or whatever, you could say, you know what, I'm going to take off for a week or a month before I come back looking for more work. Now, keep in mind, though, if you do that, there's a chance that the temp agency person assigning jobs might not give you the new jobs. They might look down on you because you pissed them off because they needed someone and you weren't available. But that's an option, and it does allow you to move into a more permanent position, like what I ended up doing. My job at the temp agency is what got me into this job with the space agency. I got there, they liked my work, and then they negotiated with the temp agency and basically bought me out. And then they had to negotiate with me first to make sure I wanted to be bought out. And it ended up being a really good thing because I got paid more. I got paid more to do less. In other words, they had me working less hours than I was at the agency. It was the same job. I had just did less, but I got paid more. It's like weird, but that's how it worked out. Just scrolling through your messages here. Yeah, Maggie says, my dad was a school janitor for a while and drove a school bus. Just didn't pay much. I do not recommend school jobs. Okay? Do not, unless you're really desperate, you're retired and you're just looking for something to do, but you don't need the money. Like they have at least in Florida, the crossing guards, they just get minimum wage. Those people that are protecting your children coming home, they get minimum wage. Even the cafeteria workers, they don't get paid anything. Schools do not pay a lot. And that to me is sad, but that's how it is. I do not recommend getting a job at a school, at least in Florida. They don't pay anything. Especially janitors won't get paid a lot. Cafeteria workers don't get paid a lot, and bus drivers don't get paid a lot. Even the aides, and the school aides, they don't get paid a lot either. But then you look at teachers, they don't get paid a lot either. They get paid shit. They don't get anything. Just scrolling through here. Renegade, Ramblin' Van, good to see you. Let me know when you're back in Florida. Just scrolling through here. Blue Ridge Parkway. You know, I went on the Blue Ridge Mountains. It is so beautiful there, but so scary. The road is so tiny and winding. I was there on my I had my I think I had my caravan. And I actually the Grand Caravan, the older one that I had, it had a button that you could click where you could go into some semi-manual mode where you could like downshift and stuff, turn off the overdrive. But I had to do that through the mountains. And you could hear the little motor. No, I went there in my MR2. Yeah, I was there in my MR2. I had a MR2, which is like the little Japanese two-seater sports car, four-cylinder. That thing struggled because you could hear it going, because the roads were so steep. And it keeps going up and down and zigzagging. It's a beautiful ride, but really scary. I would not want to drive it in an RV, for sure. A says, I clean toilets for sorority girls and in a factory in the worst good in Chicago, or probably worst place in Chicago. Guess who was cleaner? I'm going to guess that the factory people were cleaner than the sorority girls. Just because the girls are young and they don't think. They trash stuff. The factory people, they don't want to piss off the custodian. That's another thing people don't realize is nobody wants to piss off the janitor. Okay? Because the janitor is the person responsible for trying to make you comfortable in the bathroom and everything else. So anyone with any sense, they try not to piss off the janitor. Yeah, the spider's nest says implants would be better. You won't need to have the adjacent teeth crown to hold a bridge. Yeah, if they put me on if they put me as full-time or whatever and are able to give me dental coverage, because I'll be working more hours so I can afford it, I would probably go for the implant, even though it would be expensive. And the reason is just because it's out of the way. I hate stuff that can come in and out and you got to deal with it. Whereas an implant, I think, you know, they literally drill holes in your gum or below your gum to your bones. And then they put screws in there and they screw the teeth on there. So in my case, I think they would have to put 2 here, you know, and then I probably won't worry about the bottom, but this could be super expensive. They'd probably knock this teeth out. They might even put 3 there. I don't know, but it would be a lot more permanent. So it would look and function a lot more like regular real teeth. And then I can smile again. Well, I smile anyways because I don't care. I mean, I do care. You know, some people say, how can you smile with the jagged teeth and the missing teeth? Well, because this is real. And, you know, this channel has not been about fake. And honestly, if you're missing teeth and stuff, and some people will make fun of you because of that, that says more about those people than it does about you. You know, be proud of yourself, regardless of how you look. Seriously. You know, I'll be honest, trying to come on here with the missing teeth, you know, I'm a little bit insecure about that, but it's the truth. You know, I'm missing my teeth right now and I'm working on it. Just scrolling through here. AA Angry wants to know if anyone at work watches my videos. I don't know. You know, I don't know, and I don't really care, you know, if they watch me or not. Probably better if they don't, but I try not to talk too much about work. Doesn't really have anything to do with work. But a lot of the people at work that need to know, they know my situation, and they know my history and stuff, because obviously this job, you know, I had to go through security, background check, and all this other stuff. So they have to know, and they do know, you know. So it's like a really messy situation, my background, my history. But they went ahead and took me anyways. Would they let me take my kids there someday so they could see the place? Idoji wants to know if the space agency would let me take my kids there. The answer is no. Idoji, where I work is super, super secure. Idoji wants to know if Rambling Van Man, can you drive to Alaska or do you have to fly? Idoji, you know, you can actually drive up to Alaska, but you have to go through Canada. So even though the United States, Alaska is part of the United States, to get there, you take the road and there's a little highway, but it actually cuts through Canada. So you have to cut through the country of Canada and then hit Alaska. But it's a long ride, dangerous ride. Janice wants to know about my wife. My wife prefers me to leave her out of YouTube. Let's continue here. Maggie says, my rent going up $100 a month next month. Yeah, that's the thing about rental and stuff is that, you know, they can jack it up on you, like usually after a year, and it can affect you. So, and even like owning, that's what gets me about here, you know, it's like, even if you own your own land, they can end up increasing your taxes, and that could mess you up. It's really bad, you know, it's the way the structure of society is set up. Is that the people who own the stuff and have the stuff, they have the power to change you. So you could budget for like staying at a place, you know, let's say you're in retirement and you have a fixed income, which doesn't go up really. They're supposed to go up for inflation. A lot of times they adjust for that, but it's not enough. But the landlord decides to raise the rent $100 or $200, which they're allowed to do. It could price your living situation out of your reach, and then you could become homeless. That's what people don't understand. And the people who don't understand it are people who haven't been put into that situation. Once you realize that anyone, I met some of the people who helped me, and even like not so much on the van channel, but helped me when I first came back to Brevard County. There was a lady who used to be like a millionaire. You know, she was super rich, but then she lost all her money like that. And she said she was homeless. But now she's not homeless. She ended up marrying some guy, and they're stable, and they have a house and everything. And she actually just loaned me money like a bank. Now I did pay her back, you know, right away, but she loaned a stranger a huge amount of money so I could buy a car, so I could drive to work, you know, that kind of stuff. And people who do that kind of stuff, some people say, why do they do that? It seems like foolish. It's somebody who has experienced something in their life in the past they can relate. Like some of you might wonder why certain people are so kind, or apparently so kind. Maybe they've gone through a heck of a lot more than you have, and they actually see the bigger picture. Or maybe there's just something about them where they're just nice, they're just kind, and I don't know what it is. I can only tell you, you know, if I try to return the favor or something, it is just me trying to repay back the kindness that was shown to me, because these people, they've touched my heart. And, you know, you look at how negative the world can be, but I remember these kind people, and they live in this world. So the world's not all negative. There are some nice people here, and they still step out to help other people. And sometimes when people help other people, it's not because they're super financially stable or anything, okay? They're just good enough. Like they're like, well, I could take a little hit here and it won't knock me completely out. So people like Jameson, what's his name? I forget the first name, but Jameson helped people, even though he wasn't like a mega millionaire or anything like that, okay? He just decided to help because he could afford it, and it didn't hurt him too badly. And some of the people you see that have helped me, it's not like they're rich, okay? They took money out of their pocket to help. Scrolling through here. Just scrolling through. I think I'm behind you guys. Maggie says, I don't want to give up container gardening, otherwise I would travel. Maybe figure out a way to do it in the van or get an RV or a bus. I'm just scrolling through. Glad to see people chatting on here. That's what these live chats are for. You guys need to try to connect with one another, and it's not letting me click on people's names to add blue wrenches, but I'll be adding some blue wrenches today for some of you here. people that I know that can be trusted, that can be part of the network. But basically, the blue wrench is kind of one of the first steps to being verified that you're not a troll. Jonathan wants to know how the Thailand plans are coming along. They are still moving forward, but on hold because Thailand is on hold. Travel to Thailand has become very difficult, and I'm kind of waiting for that to settle. And work is looking at extending me, so I may go ahead and take advantage of that, and then try to get the teeth done if the work will pay for it. All right, good to see you, Lena. I am going to go ahead and call it a day and sign off. I hope you guys enjoyed this chat. I hope you guys are continue when these live chats come on to take advantage of it, to chat with one another and really get to know one another, because that's the people that could end up in your network. Okay, and I'm going to remind you again, even though the group could get fairly large, the idea of the group is to have it so that people connect and make like a second family, so that you're not out there by yourself. That you have people that you actually know, like their name, their phone number, and all this other stuff. So you can help each other if you need help. And then if you're not able to help each other, the group is here to help, or will be here to help. So you have immediate help available in your clique, your family, or your tribe, or whatever you want to call yourselves. And then the whole group as a whole will hopefully have resources, especially once the channel gets monetized. So nobody has to be out there alone, or feel lonely or alone or whatever. And the help doesn't have to be just van related. Okay, it could be anything. If somebody needs help and somebody in the group is able to help, like I'm hoping that if I make it to Thailand here, and some people want to immigrate there and stuff, I can kind of help you on that end, because it's usually helpful to have somebody who's been there or is there somewhere trying to do what you're trying to do, that's already there, that can kind of help you. So we're going to be setting that up, and I'm sure there are people here right now that are actually, from what I understand, there are people actually that are not in the United States, that are actually in different parts of the world. So what it's going to open up is the ability for you to connect with somebody who may be in another country that you might want to visit or even live there and make a new friend. So it's a good way to get to know one another on a personal basis. So I want to thank you all for joining me. I hope you all have a great day. I hope you're all staying safe. And I hope that if you have a chance to get out and enjoy nature, that you try to do that, because, it's been really stressful the last couple months for everybody, especially with the elections and everything going on. Try to take the time now to find some peace, meditate and recollect yourself, and then move forward, because I think that hopefully, that with the elections pretty much over, once this all clears out, that some normalcy can return, and that people can become people again and function, and then as normal as possible. Because, once you've had the scare of a virus that can easily spread and things like that, and how it can bring down whole nations, you're going to be a little gun shy. You're going to be a little cautious. And I think that's okay. But at the same time, I do believe that with the United States election, at least, pretty much, ending here, that this is an opportunity for everyone to heal. So everybody that's listening to this, you are in my thoughts and prayers. I pray for the nation, and I also pray for the world. So until next time, everyone, take care. God bless you all. Please stay safe. Bye-bye now.